The Senate Education Committee will come to order in 30 seconds. Good morning. There are 16 bills on today's agenda. Item number 1, AB 715, has been pulled and will not be heard today. In relation to the rest of the agenda, 5 bills are on consent. Those bills are item number 5, AB 79, item number 6, AB 341, item number 9, AB 563, item number 14, AB 1119, and item number 16, AB 1454. Witnesses are asked to limit their testimony to 2 minutes to ensure the committee is able to complete today's agenda in a timely fashion. Seeing as though we have no quorum at this moment, we'll begin as a subcommittee with the first bill. We have Assemblymember Marsucci, who is here and ready. Assemblymember, you may begin whenever you are ready.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair and Senators. I am here to present Assembly Bill 49, the California Safe Haven Schools Act, to do everything in our power to keep ICE out of our public schools. Let me first acknowledge Senator Gonzalez. I know that she has a very similar bill, Senate Bill 48, which has been presented before this committee, and so I believe the subject matter is certainly not new to this committee. We are working closely together to do everything in our power to keep ICE out of our schools, because we know that under the United States Constitution, all students, regardless of immigration status, have a right to public education. For decades, we have had bipartisan support to keep schools as safe havens, as sensitive locations free from immigration enforcement activities. Unfortunately, in January of this year, the Trump administration has reversed that long-standing policy of respecting public schools as sensitive locations to start immigration enforcement activities. This is not fear-mongering or a matter of speculation. We know that a few months ago in Los Angeles Unified, there were immigration officials that attempted to enter the Los Angeles Unified School District. And to their credit, their school administrators did the right thing. They enforced the policies, asked for identification, asked for a valid judicial warrant. When they were not able to produce them, they turned them away. This is what we are seeking to accomplish in this bill, the California Safe Haven Schools Act. Because we all know that children cannot learn when they're under the constant threat of family separation and or deportation. I'm here in support of this bill. Churla's managing attorney, Andres Guerra, and Connie Torres, the president of the Brentwood Teachers Association.
You may begin when you're ready. You have 2 minutes each.
Good morning. My name is Connie Torres, and I am a 4th grade teacher at Marsh Creek Elementary and a proud member of the California Teachers Association. I'm here today on my summer break to speak in strong support of AB 49. In a couple of weeks, I'll be back at work. Students have the right to attend school and learn in a safe, supportive environment. Schools should be safe havens, but that is no longer the reality for many of our children. The fear of federal agents is growing on our campuses, not just for undocumented students or children of undocumented immigrants, but even for U.S. citizens who may not look or sound like they were born here. I ask you to imagine this. How would you feel if you were a child and masked, armed adults showed up at your school? Our students already practice lockdown drills in case of mass shootings. Now they worry that someone with a badge and a gun might come take away their friends. I've heard students whisper, "Will my friend be here tomorrow?" That kind of fear has no place in our schools. After COVID, attendance dropped, and we're still seeing the impact. In my district, average daily attendance fell from 97.24% in 2017-2018 to 95.56% in 2024-2025. That may sound small, but in our district, that means $2 million lost in funding. Money we could have used for counseling, intervention programs, and academic support. And here's the hard truth. If parents don't feel their kids are safe, attendance will drop even more. When students stay home, they miss instruction, They fall behind, they lose out on critical learning time, and our schools lose the resources we need help to help them. Teachers continue to show up. We've supported students through a pandemic, natural disasters, and the trauma of lockdowns. But our kids can't continue to carry any more fear. They deserve to feel safe, welcomed, and protected. For those reasons, on behalf of our students and educators, CTA respectfully asks for your aye vote on AB 49. Thank you.
Thank you. And one moment, please. We now have a quorum, so I'm going to go ahead and have the assistant call the roll.
Senator Perez.
Here.
Perez here. Ochobog. Cabaldin. Ochobog here. Cabaldin here. Choi. Here. Choi here. Cortese. Gonzalez. Laird. Here. Laird here.
Thank you. We have now established quorum. Apologies for that. You may begin when you're ready.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair and distinguished members of the committee. My name is Andres Guerra. I am the managing attorney at the Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights' Legal Department's Student Legal Services Unit, serving students in removal defense and affirmative immigration services. I am based in Sacramento but serve clients throughout the state. In June, we were contacted by the family of a California resident of 20 years, the father of 2 U.S. citizen children, who was apprehended by ICE after dropping his daughter off at James Jordan Middle School in Reseda, California. He was arrested directly outside of the school by ICE agents, and we have had reports of the same situation occurring nearby several other schools. AB 49 is necessary. These ICE detainers are actively occurring in the proximity of California schools to the family members of school children, U.S. citizens, or those who may not have lawful status, but all of whose right to attend public school in the United States has been safeguarded by the Supreme Court in Plyler v. Doe. The legality of AB 49 flows from the basic due process requirements already required by the Fourth Amendment, that federal agents present a signed judicial warrant to make immigration arrests, adding only to that approval from a principal or superintendent if occurring on a school ground, and the requirement that ICE activity occur not in the proximity of students. This is a reasonable ask and necessary legislation, especially in light of the Department of Homeland Security vacating its sensitive locations memo, which now allows for ICE arrests at or nearby courthouses and places of worship and education. And I can testify that we are seeing a chilling effect on people's willingness to participate in these necessary functions of society, such as reticence to attend hearings in courts of law. AB 49 does not thwart the federal government, but still permits execution of ICE arrests around school grounds under conditions that would not impinge on the right of the children to attend school. I respectfully ask for your aye vote for AB 49. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Are there any other support witnesses here in room 2100? If so, please use the mic and please only state your name, organization, and position on the bill.
Kevin Bibiano with the University of California Student Association in strong support. Thank you.
Griselda Chavez with the Mesa Verde Group on behalf of the Central American Research Center, Carecen, in support. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair, Senators. Dean Graffield with Capital Advocacy here on behalf of the County of Los Angeles Board of Supervisors in support of AB 49. Thank you.
Jessica Marquez on behalf of State Superintendent Tony Thurman in strong support.
Good morning. Steve Allred with the Church State Council in support of this bill.
Kasha Hunt with Nossaman on behalf of the County of Monterey Board of Supervisors in support.
Rebecca Gonzalez, Western Center on Law and Poverty in support.
Good morning, Lizzie Kutzona on behalf of the California Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry in support. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Santosh Siram representing Chinese for Affirmative Action in strong support.
Hi, Elizabeth Oseguera with the California Alliance of Child and Family Services in strong support.
Jonathan Mincer, Jewish Community Relations Council, largest collective voice of Bay Area Jews representing 70 organizations in strong support.
Katie Jennings on behalf of the Children's Partnership in support. Thank you.
McLean Rosansky with the Alameda County Office of Education in support.
Craig Pulsar on behalf of Equality California in strong support.
Monica Madrid on behalf of the Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights, proud co-sponsor and support.
Elise Borth on behalf of the California Community Foundation and strong support.
Andy Mason representing Clean Earth for Kids in strong support, also supporting North County Equity and Justice, Eco-Sustainability Peeps, Interfaith Coalition for Earth Justice, and Activist San Diego, all in strong support.
Carlos Lopez with the California School Employees Association in support.
Mitch Steiger with CFT, a union of educators and classified professionals, also in support.
Morning, Faith Lee with Asian Americans Advancing Justice, Southern California, proud co-sponsor, also providing a Me Too on behalf of our colleagues at Hmong Innovating Politics, at Trust West, and AAPIs for Civic Empowerment. Thank you.
Good morning, Tweedo with the Southeast Asia Resource Action Center and strong support. Thank you.
Good morning, Nicolena Lopez with the Jewish Law Student Association at McGeorge University, and we are in support.
Sierra Cook with San Diego Unified School District in support.
Good morning, Sam Nasher on behalf of the Los Angeles County Office of Education and support. Thank you.
Morning, Amy Brown on behalf of the California Charter Schools Association in support.
Sara Baches with Children Now in support.
Good morning, Tracy Rosenberg on behalf of Oakland Privacy in support.
Good morning, Derek Lennox on behalf of the California County Superintendents, pleased to support.
Good morning, DeBray Sanders with Catalyst California, strong support.
Good morning, Cristina Salazar with Californians Together in strong support, but also on behalf of the California Association for Bilingual Education.
Good morning, Cooper Kenny on behalf of the Schools Employers Association of California in support. Thank you.
Good morning, Layla Alicon with San Francisco Unified School District in support.
Good morning, Sasha Horwitz, Los Angeles Unified School District in support.
Anayeli Martin with the California Immigrant Policy Center in strong support.
Good morning, Orquídea DeBroy Reyes on behalf of Hispanos Organized for Political Equality, Long Beach City College, the Alliance for a Better Community, Southern California College Attainment Network, and for our friends at the College for All Coalition in support.
Good morning, Eric Paredes with the California Faculty Association in support.
Good morning, Brandon Chu on behalf of SEIU California in support.
Good morning, Madam Chair and Senators. Adam Keglin on behalf of California LULAC and Alliance College Ready Public Schools in support.
Good morning, I'm Ron Bellion. This is Messiah Bellion. We support.
My name is Tessa Hernandez, and I'm a teacher in West Sacramento, and I strongly support this.
Annie Chow with the California Teachers Association in support.
My name is Muhammad Sadiq, and I am a teacher in Brentwood, and I am in support.
Thank you. We will now move on to lead witnesses in opposition. If there are any, the two lead witnesses may come forward and use the microphones at the table in front of us. Seeing nobody getting up, are there any other opposition witnesses here in room 2100? If so, please use the microphone outside the railing. Alrighty, thank you to all of our support witnesses. We will now bring the discussion back to members. Do our members have any questions or comments for the member? Yes, Senator Chobogue.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, Assemblymember Masucci. Great to see you. Aloha. So, it's our Hawaiian experiences together. So, just a couple of points. I just want to mention for the public is that we've seen a lot of bills on immigration expressed by a lot of concern by the public with regards to families and students feeling unsafe because of the enforcement of the federal government enforcing immigration laws, which, for the record, have not been updated by either when we had full control by Democrats or Republicans at the federal level. Neither party has actually worked on immigration reform, which is desperately needed because it has to be modernized to meet the needs of America's workforce. So having said that, I do also want to state that this bill, I will be supporting this bill. So let me just begin with stating the fact that I am going to be supporting this bill, and this is why I'm going to be supporting it. Because one, This bill essentially mirrors the Attorney General's guidance on the subject, prohibiting schools from cooperating unless they're required to do so by law, which will likely, is basically what the state has basically said that they're going to be doing. That is current law in California. That's what has been made possible. The other thing I wanted to ensure, once again, because it's an immigration-related piece of legislation, I do want to reiterate that we have in code, in California Educational Code, the fact that schools are not able to collect any materials or documents in relation to immigration status or immigration. So that is current law, and it's important for the public to know that. So every time an immigration bill comes through this desk, I will be emphasizing that, because our families, our community members, our teachers, school personnel, everybody needs to be reiterating that we don't have and we're not supposed to have any documentation that states what the immigration status is of a student in that school. So this notion that they can come in and require staff to say, okay, who are your undocumented students, that cannot happen, because we're not allowed to do that in the state of California. So having said that, I do believe that as with anything, and it was pointed out by my colleague from Sacramento, Senator Cabalden, previously, that, for safety reasons on campuses, just the same way that we would report if police is going to be on campus, same thing with IDing anybody that comes into our campuses. We require parents, we require anybody that's entering our school to show ID, to show identification, to see who they are. So for safety reasons on that end, I think it's quite frankly, a no-brainer to just say, hey, let us know who you are, give us an identification, and give us a warrant for coming into our school district. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, except when there is a hot pursuit going on. And that's the only question that I had for you, is that in case of a hot pursuit where they're literally chasing someone down and they enter the school, they enter the school, what then? Because, someone is entering the school without identification. They're in hot pursuit of this individual, and they're not going to have time to say, here, let me show you my ID and my warrant on what's going on. So in those cases, what is the protocol within this purview of this bill?
So the bill in current form allows for what lawyers call exigent circumstances, like if there's a hot pursuit. I am in current conversations, discussions with Senator Gonzalez as we're trying to reconcile our two bills. Senator Gonzalez is raising the concern that ICE immigration officials may manufacture exigent circumstances, saying that it's urgent that we, run onto your campus to do whatever they're trying to do on the school grounds. And so we're in discussions with stakeholders now as to whether to keep the bill in its current form, which would allow for immigration officials under exigent circumstances to enter the school grounds. Or whether we would still require the valid judicial warrant with or without any claims of exigent circumstances. I don't know if our Charlotte attorney would have anything to add to that.
Well, I do see the language already in the bill, so I would say it doesn't really alter the Fourth Amendment law surrounding exigent circumstances, which include hot pursuit. There is a qualifying language here, which is necessitate immediate action, but again, that's not something that this bill is altering. The other thing that I'm seeing is, the other subdivision in the bill is requiring the Attorney General to update the policies regarding this. So I would say, the expectation would be that the policies that are going to be updated are going to be consistent with law, as it's already been. I don't think that this bill does anything to alter hot pursuit or exigent circumstance law.
Okay, so in other words, for in layman's terms, if ICE officials are running and chasing someone and pursuing someone, and this person runs into the school, they can pursue into that school and do the work they're supposed to be doing. I think where I'm coming from is, making sure that if they're doing the work, if they're chasing someone, when it comes to the hot pursuit doctrine, that they are able to do their job. What happens when you remove the sensitive areas, of course, people get really, really nervous. But the folks that are folks of not of goodwill, that they're actually trying to escape, are going to know that these are protected areas, and so they're going to literally use those protected areas as a sanctuary because they know they're safe on there. And that's one thing that we don't talk about, is the fact that I see both sides. I see that we want to protect these areas and say these are safe areas, officials can't come in. But the folks that are not acting in goodwill, the criminals per se, and I'm not talking about good working people, I'm talking about people who are literally criminals, are going to know that these are safe spaces and may use those safe spaces to hide. And so it makes it difficult for public safety officials to do their job if they can't enter and pursue those folks in those areas. So there is a double-edged sword here, and I think it's important to know that only good people, honorable people, follow the law. And so I think that's important to note, and that's why I want to make sure that we understand that if they're in this measure in goodwill, yes, please ask for the ID. We want to know who's entering our schools. But if something like this happens where they're chasing a criminal, we have to ensure that they're able to do their job. And so that's the only concern, and I hope the conversations continue to kind of facilitate that, the language, whatever that may look like. I'm not an attorney, so I don't know, but I know in essence what the ideals should be. And so with that, I'm going to look forward to supporting the bill, and then look forward to seeing the final language, and hopefully reserve my right to change my vote if it doesn't actually accommodate the ability for our public safety officials to be able to, or in this case the federal agents, if this is the case, to be able to do their job. So with that, I will be voting aye on the bill today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Senator Cabaldon.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. And thanks to our Vice Chair for her comments on the bill. And I just wanted to pick up on the issue, this final issue that she raised, which is an appropriate one. But just to point out that this bill does not deal with exigent circumstances with respect to ICE or folks impersonating ICE officers directly. The bill is about what the duties and obligations of school employees are. The bill does not authorize or create a protected space in which officers or folks impersonating officers can or can't come. That's a different set of laws. This bill is about what the school's obligation is to do. And in that regard, I think the way the bill is crafted is the right way, because you have to imagine, even in a hot pursuit moment, and you're the English teacher at Liberty High School in Brentwood, or you're the vice principal at Westmore Oaks Elementary in West Sacramento. And what we don't want to do is create a situation where in a moment of hot pursuit with an officer or a person impersonating an officer coming onto your school campus, you have to assess, am I going to take a highly dangerous position that as the English teacher, I am going to, because I want to comply with AB 49, I'm going to personally stop that because I don't want it to go into my personnel file that I violated AB 49. So I think that language is important for making sure that we are setting appropriate expectations and boundaries about what we demand of our vice principals and our principals and our teachers. Because the bill does not, in no way does the exigent circumstances language in the bill do anything with respect to ICE. It is really about whether or not the teacher, the vice principal, the school security office, whether they are obligated to allow access or not. And in that moment, if guns blazing or what have you, there are all kinds of problems with this, obviously, and I appreciate that the bill is tackling this. But we also have to have reasonable expectations about what the English teacher how much harm they should be putting themselves in that moment. And I think the bill is in that way strikes that appropriate balance. I also very much support it, along with Senator Gonzalez's bill, and of course with our chair's bill in the same topic area. This is absolutely critical to promote to promote safety on campuses for kids that are most vulnerable, and not just the kids that are involved, but all the kids around them and the school personnel. And what we've seen, in Los Angeles, is just further evidence that identification is absolutely essential, that we cannot take for granted that folks are who they say they are all of the time. So I think this is a well-constructed approach to try to grapple with that. I appreciate the continuing work that's going to be happening with the Senate authors, who are also carrying important bills in this area, but looking forward to support the bill and making the motion when at the appropriate time. Thanks, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, if I may just add to or respond to Senator Cambalden's.
Go ahead, Assembly Member.
Thank you. Yes, as always, I appreciate your detailed, thoughtful scrutiny of bills that come before you. This issue actually was raised by Los Angeles Unified as well as San Diego Unified. How do we provide cover for the front office secretary as he or she is confronted with an armed ICE officer in the front office? So that was our intent in putting in the language, but as I said, as I'm in discussions with Senator Gonzalez to try to reconcile our bills, but I really appreciate your point.
Thank you, Assembly Member. And, want to share, I appreciate this legislation. I think it's very common sense and straightforward. I'm happy that you're having conversations with Senator Gonzalez. I know you both have bills in this space that are somewhat similar, and wanting to make sure that you all are coordinating together. But I think, we recognize that we need clarity, policy clarity in this space as we navigate new circumstances across the board here in the state of California. So we'll definitely be voting aye and happy to support your bill. So thank you. Would you like to close?
Thank you, Senator. And yes, I wanted to acknowledge your leadership in making sure that all of our immigrant communities are notified, when there is attempted or actual immigration enforcement activities that take place in our institutions of public education. And I very much appreciate the chair's support. I just want to close by thanking all the comments, but especially the bipartisan support as expressed by Senator Ochoa Bogue. As I stated earlier, for decades we have had bipartisan support to keep schools as safe havens, and so your spirit of support is in that tradition. I want to close by emphasizing that, while you said that it is current law to have the Attorney General model policies guiding our school employees and their dealings with immigration authorities, those are model policies, and those are not. It's not actual law as to these requirements to produce identification, valid judicial warrant, limiting their access to areas where students are not present, and so that is the goal of this bill, to codify these policies so that all school districts have to follow the law, like Los Angeles Unified did. And so, with that, I thank you very much for your support, and respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Assembly Member. And I believe we have a motion by Senator Cambalden. Can we get roll call, please? And the motion is for due pass to the Senate Judiciary Committee. Assistant, if you can call the roll.
Senator Perez.
Aye.
Perez, aye. Ochoa Bogue. Aye. Ochoa Bogue, aye. Cambalden. Cambalden, aye. Choi. Cortese. Gonzalez. Laird.
Excellent. Great, and we will put that bill on call. And I believe you have a second bill before us, Assembly Member, so if you wanted to head into that.
Yes, thank you very much, Madam Chair. My next bill is Assembly Bill 640. This bill would require members of governing boards of school districts as well as county offices of education, members of governing bodies of charter schools, entities managing a charter school to receive training in K-12 public education governance laws in two specific areas, public school finance and public school accountability. This bill comes from my personal experience as a former school board member. I know, like many school board members, when I was first elected, and I was, given the very tremendous responsibility to oversee, in my case, a school district annual budget of over $200 million, and I did not have any training or background in overseeing a budget of that magnitude, and so this bill is attempting to provide, a common sense proposal that all school board members, when they are entrusted with that responsibility of overseeing these multi-million-dollar budgets, and to understand our state accountability system to ensure that we are working toward the student outcomes that are measured through our accountability system, that they understand and they have the basic training to do their job. Here with me to testify in support of the bill is our Placer County Superintendent of Schools, Gail Garbolino Mojica.
Did I press? Oh. Good morning. Thank you, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Gail Garbolino Mojica, and I've been the County Superintendent in Placer County for 20 years. AB 640 addresses a critical need in public education governance by requiring school board members to receive foundational training in key areas, including school finance and accountability laws. As stewards of public funds and policymakers responsible for the academic success of 6 million California students, it is essential that trustees understand how to read a budget, monitor the district's financial health, and ensure legal compliance in order to make an informed decision that best serves their students and their communities. Here in Placer County, we have firsthand experience of the importance of this type of training. In 2002, we had a 50% turnover rate of new trustees up for election, and in 2024, we had 40% new trustees that were elected across our 16 districts. While this influx of new voices brings new energy, it also highlights a significant gap in governance readiness. In response, the Placer County Office of Education developed our own Governance Institute, which is a training program covering school finance, student accountability, and other areas of board responsibility, including human resources, special education, etc. This initiative reflects our commitment to building capacity and equipping trustees with the knowledge they need to lead effectively from day one. AB 640 aligns perfectly with this work by providing statewide standard and ensuring that every board member, regardless of the size or resources, receives consistent, high-quality training. By supporting this legislation, we strengthen public trust, improve board decision-making, and ultimately enhance educational outcomes for all students. I urge you to support AB 640 and join us in reinforcing strong, informed, and accountable governance teams across the state of California. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Are there any other support witnesses here in room 2100? If so, please use the mic outside of the railing.
Hello, Sam Nasher on behalf of the Los Angeles County Office of Education Support. Thank you.
Doris Nguyen with Clean Earth for Kids in support, also supporting our North County Equity and Justice, Eco-Sustainability Peeps, Interfaith Coalition for Earth Justice, and Activist San Diego. Thank you.
Laura Kerr with the Charter School Development Center. We support, if amended, we absolutely support the intent of this law. It would apply to charter school governing board members, and we want to continue to work to make sure it's relevant and rigorous for our members too.
Morning, Chair and members. Derek Lennox on behalf of the California County Superintendents. Pleased to support.
Tiffany Mock on behalf of CFT, a union of educators and classified professionals in support. Thank you.
Carlos Lopez, California School Employees Association, in support.
Thank you. We will now move on to lead witnesses in opposition if there are any. The 2 lead witnesses may come forward and use the microphones at the table in front of us. Thank you, and you will have 2 minutes for your testimony. You may begin whenever you're ready.